Good day, good day. Just an interesting thought and perspective. We are the sum total of everything we have learned from every person that we've interacted with. Attitudes are contagious, as my mother would say. Is yours, attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching? Is her quote. And how true that is with personalities in turn. I often recollect an image of my elementary school bully. I remember him by first name, Kevin, and that's all I remember. Well, I remember what he looked like at that time. But Kevin would be the shortest individual in our class, rocked the Jerry curl, always had the trendy clothes on. At that time it was, goodness, what was it? Bomber jackets, I think it was, or something. And what was it? I forget the type of shoes. It was back in the maybe British Knights era or something to that effect. LA Gear, I think. No, maybe. No, not LA Gear. But, and I believe we wore like flannel. I think that was a hot thing back then. But you'd wear it a certain way, and it'd either be checkers, black and red, or purple and black. Or I remember that because we would also make those paper fortune teller things, and we would color them those checkered colors, black and red, or purple and black, or something to that effect. But point is that he was always up with the trend. But again, he was the shortest guy in the class, but he was the biggest bully as far as personality and character. And he would strike a little bit of fear in us. And he had a very distinct run. His gait or whatever when he was running was very particular, almost like he was severely bow-legged or something. So when he ran, his legs behind him would kind of converge. And it looked like he was running in a wheel or something. But my point is, I grew up to mimic that. To me, that was a symbol of power, a symbol of speed. All the connotations of power, I'll just say. Authority, strength, all of those. And so all through my life, I remembered that run, and I associated that self, and I would tell myself, this is how I can go faster. This is how I can portray strength. So that was a particular characteristic, just like a cartoon character that we grew up watching and then later mimicking or trying to follow them in one way or another. That's how I grew up. That's what made me, or composed me. Okay? And, the television, we hear it said, it's telling a vision, it's television programming, it's channeling. I contend that the people that we interact with, that it works the same. And so think about it. In a moment of self-reflection, how many different people are you composed of? Who do you walk like? You know, who do you fight like? Who do you talk like? You know, why do you like the foods that you eat? You know, did you watch someone eating a particular plate or cuisine or what have you, and the way that they were even chewing suggested to you that, man, they've got something good over there? And do you associate, you know, the way that you watched them eating at one point in time with how you should eat or chew, right? That influential power. Someone's watching you likewise. Some youth may be watching you, observing you. And it's, you know, becoming part of their esteem consideration, you know. Think about that. We are the sum total of not only the deposits of our prospective families, but also of the people that we hang around. Is that why they say that bad company corrupts you? Or what was the saying? Evil communication corrupts good manners. Okay, or you are who you hang around with. You know, that makes more sense now, doesn't it? We are the sum total. And so with that being said, and in that consideration, you know, I can recall, you know, what the church would say about picking up evil spirits. They would call it evil spirit. You know, you're picking those things up. Evil communication, who you've been hanging around with. You know, you're guilty. Even the law recognizes guilt by association. Right? Where you might not have pulled the trigger yourself, but you were the driver that transported the killer, you know, and brought them to their destination, and then waited, and then after they committed the crime, then you drove them away, helping them to evade, right? You're still guilty by association. You may as well have been, you know, one who helped to premeditate the murder, because you just went along with it. You kept that company, right? So evil communication corrupts good manners. They call it, again, in churches, the, you know, evil spirit. But really, remember, spirit just connotes breath. That's all it is. So hence we use terminologies like being inspired, inspiration, which means to breathe in. So that's really the context. You know, who are you breathing in, or who is breathing into you? Remember, breath is spirit. Spirit is the animus, that which animates you. And so who is breathing into you? Who is inspiring you? Who is animating you, giving you the ability and capacity to act on the world stage, right? That's the consideration. We are the sum total. And so I believe, in closing, that all of that is very much necessary. Remember, there is no necessarily good or bad. There's merely positive and negative, which are both necessary in circulation. We are electrical beings, by the way. Both are necessary. So the stigma of bad or good merely considers the stain that is left behind or upon you based on your behavior or action. That's bad or good. But we want to know, more importantly and more substantial, was it positive? Did it add to you or someone else? Or was it negative, taking away from you or someone else? That's really what we really want to know. Because we all are creatures of habit. We all find ourselves doing similar things, just in different ways, right? But again, the significance is whether it adds or takes away. We're not really supposed to take away from anybody anything that they deserve to have in accordance with natural law. So we shouldn't be taking, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. You know, no one likes to lose anything, so you don't want anything taken from you, so don't take from your neighbor. But we should be adding to each other. And so we are, once again, the sum total. And the consideration is being the sum total of everybody that we've come into contact with, everybody that has breathed into us, you know, life or death. Being the sum total is that the consideration is, excuse me, I'm trying to watch my exit here. What do you keep and what do you discard through life? Meaning, there was a period of time scientifically, and in closing once again, there was a period scientifically where you were most susceptible, where you learned the most. I think they say the most impressionable years, I heard like 5 and 9, between 5 and 9 or something like that, where you really start to form, you know, certain beliefs. Like before that, you could fly, you could do all kinds of things, right? You were invincible. You know, you can freeze somebody. My children play that game. They really believe that they can freeze me because I play along on the world stage, right? I'm acting. There was that period of time, but then at 5 and up until 9 and 10, you start to, you know, kind of understand, no, you can't do that. We can't fly. No, you can get real owies out here, right? It starts to set in. And so we are the sum total of everything that we've experienced, and we've been impressioned and inspired by these events and experiences. But then there comes a time of maturity, you know, starting to develop, hopefully, ideally, in the 16, 17, 18, when you then become legally considered an adult. Okay, that's when it's time on the other side to start stripping things away, I contend. Because you brought a whole lot of ideas and inspirations into what would become your adult years, where you are going to legally be held responsible for everything you do or don't do. Your sins of omission and your sins of commission. Nobody else is going to bear your burden, your punishments. There comes a time where you're going to have to. So this is where you better begin to start to strip away at things that don't add or things that adversely take away from somebody and affect people in a very negative way. It's time to start getting rid of that. Okay? Remember, you are the sum total of everything that you learned, and you held on to that because it became you. Returning to the story of my tiny bully, you know, he didn't, he probably isn't. And in fact, I did end up running into him at a mall one time, that was one time only. And he was probably still the same height, but I was probably 5 inches taller than him. He still looked the same. So I'm sure that, you know, also considering our sizes, but I don't think that he was going to try to be or do the things that he did in elementary school. You know, he's got to let those things go. He had to chip away or chisel away at those personality character traits that he had picked up. You know, you ain't going to be able to do that all through your life for various reasons. Things change. People get taller than you, you know what I mean? You get older, you get more mature, is the point. So I just wanted to put that on your mind, something to think about, something to consider. How many of those traits do you still have to chip away at? Because we've built on many, many layers over those years. Question is, have we gotten rid of any of them? Or are we still walking around with them? Is that the recreation of yourself? Is that the paradigm shift that they call maturity? Can maturity be quantified if you know all of the people that have influenced your life, inspired, you, have breathed into you? If you know, it can get a roundabout figure about how many people and who they were, maybe write them down on a sheet of paper and then maybe start to X out the ones that don't add, they only take. All right, with that being said, just something to think about. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, share. Always want to make you think, disseminate through the information, decide what works for you. All right, peace. We'll see you on the next upload.